Right, so once again, I want to take this opportunity to welcome all of you from around the world. As all of you may be aware, this week or the month of March has been declared the month to celebrate women across the globe. We are very fortunate that as people who appreciate and value inclusion in the life of women, in particular, people who serve and dedicate themselves to the service of humanity. And so the Jacobs-Abbey Global Institute for Global Leadership Studies, together with our working partners, we felt the need to commemorate and to celebrate this important event. As you will know, the world is actually gathering here at the United Nations headquarters in New York, where we have close to about 6,000 women from across the world, and of course with men inclusive, celebrating the International Day, which is otherwise known as the CSW68. The CSW68 has come a very long way. I recall back in the years when Hillary Clinton at the time was in Beijing and talked about women's rights as human rights. And when she talks about it takes women to bring power to our communities, and watching this CSW grow all the way to the 68th session, it's amazing that the world is celebrating this beautiful moment. And so today we have gathered here together as a group to not only to talk, because talk is cheap, but we can do more than just talk. And so we want to dive straight into our program for today. I'm going to share the program outline for all of you, those joining us virtually from around the world. You can see how the program will go. So basically, we are at the stage where we are actually receiving and welcoming guests to join us for today's program. Then it will continue with a welcome and opening remark from me to the gathering. And then we're going to have a keynote speaker. The keynote topic is going to be inspiring inclusion through empowered leadership. And Dr. Grace Faraja Kundabantu, who is the Executive Director for African Girls Hope Foundation based in Atlanta, will also be addressing us with a speak. She's also speaking from here in New York. And then we will dive into a short video to give us a context why the celebration of International Women's Day is important, because it has come a very long way. And then we will also dive into a panel discussion. And in the panel discussion, we are going to have panelists, which will include Margaret Chichi Nkeri, who is the Executive Director for Linden Africa based in Nigeria. We will also have Odosewa Apau, who is the Executive Director of Odosewa Foundation based in Kumasi in Ghana. And then we're going to have Dr. Adama Kaloko, who is the Executive Director of Impact Sierra Leone. Dr. Adama lives in the Washington, D.C. area in Maryland, but today she's speaking all the way in Sierra Leone because she's gone to the motherland to get some work done on the ground. And so she's going to share a perspective during the panel discussion. And of course, I will be on the panel discussion as an observer to bring inspiration to the powerful women who will be on the panel. And then Juliana Amaklofia, who is the Executive Director of Girls Excellence Movement, will also be on the panel. And I must say that Juliana is the chairman or the chairwoman of the board of trustees of the Jacobs-Abbey Global Institute for Leadership Studies. A very powerful woman indeed. And then we will dive into question and answer time to give our audience from across the globe and those in New York as well to have some conversations here and there. And we are hoping that between 11:45 and 12, we should be wrapping up with a closing remark from the Dean of Student Affairs of the Jacobs-Abbey Global Institute for Leadership Studies, which will be Professor Ama Botis will give us the closing remarks.
Hello, welcome to Jacobs-Abbey Global Institute for Leadership Studies, a research, teaching, training, and leadership institute that critically provides strategic transformational thinking to leaders and students with the opportunity to develop and create lasting impact in their institutions. Championed by a world-class faculty, one-on-one executive coaching, and peer learning, our programs are offered both online and in cohort sessions. Jacobs-Abbey Global Institute for Leadership Studies partners with academic institutions, civil society organizations, local communities looking to accelerate the impact of their leaders, more effectively engage teams, and build inclusive cultures of employee engagement and performance. We offer courses such as certificate, diploma, and advanced diploma in counseling psychology, marriage counseling, applied psychology, child mental health, conflict and peace studies, international human rights law, security and governance, and in gender studies. For enrollment, email enroll@jaglobalinstitute.org or visit us online at jaglobalinstitute.org.
Distinguished guests, esteemed delegates, change makers from around the world, it is with great honor and privilege that I welcome all of you from across the world to this momentous Jagils UN CSW68 talk on the theme Inspiring Inclusion. Today, we are a global community united in our unwavering commitment to achieve gender equality, empowering women and girls, and fostering an inclusive society that celebrates diversity and embraces the richness of our collective human experience. I warmly welcome our esteemed delegates who travel far and near to the United Nations headquarters to be with us even as we celebrate this moment. But I also want to take this opportunity to thank those who are joining us virtually from across the globe. Your presence and active participation in this town hall are a testament to a shared and collective action required to drive meaningful change. As we conveyed during the 68th section of the Commission on the Status of Women, we are reminded of the critical importance of this global platform in amplifying the voices of women and girls, addressing persistent gender-based inequalities, and charting a path towards a more just and equitable world. Our Inspiring Inclusion theme resonates deeply with Jagils, our core values and mission, because we believe that true progress can only be achieved when we embrace the diversity of perspectives, backgrounds, and identities that shaped our global community. Inclusion is not a merely buzzword. It is a fundamental principle that underpins our effort to create a world where every individual, regardless of gender, ethnicity, or socioeconomic status, has the opportunity to thrive and realize their full potential. As we embark on this journey together, let us be inspired by the resilience and determination of those who have paved the way for us. Let us draw strength from the countless stories of courage, perseverance, and transformative leadership that have scattered barriers and opened doors for the future generations. So this town hall characterizes dialogue, cooperation, collaboration, and collective action. We will exchange some ideas, we will share some best practices, and forge partnerships that transcend borders and boundaries. We will explore innovative strategies, policies, and initiatives that promote inclusion, dismantle systemic barriers, and create more equitable and just world for all of us. I want to take this moment to thank our partners, the African Girls Hope Foundation, the Girls Excellence Movement, Leadership Empowerment and Development Innovation Initiative Africa, Odosewa Foundation, Impact Sierra Leone, UN Women, UN Civil Society Unit, and the Inspires Alumni Network. We extend our deepest gratitude to your unwavering support and commitment to this cause. As we navigate the complexities of our global challenges, let the power of unity and collaborative action embolden us. Together, we can inspire inclusion, amplify the voices of the marginalized, and create a world that celebrates the inherent dignity and worth of every human being. Let us embrace this opportunity to forge a legacy of inclusion, empowerment, and transformative leadership that will resonate across generations and inspire a bright future for all of us. I want to take this moment to once again welcome all of our delegates from around the world who have joined us here at the United Nations and all those joining us globally through the virtual platforms to the Jagils UN CSW68 Town Hall. Welcome and thank you. Faraja Kundabantu, she is the Executive Director of the African Girls Hope Foundation based in Atlanta, Georgia. She's originally from Congo DR, but she has lived a many life, including being twice refugee in Kenya. She has a background with accounting. She has an undergrad in accounting and also have a master's degree in organizational psychology. Her PhD is focused on human services and behavioral. And she has been a voice. Those of you who are familiar with Jagils faculty, she serves as an adjunct, and she has been the forefront of the gender program within the Jagils faculty. And so without wasting much time, I would like to take this opportunity and welcome my good friend who is here with me at the United Nations to deliver us the keynote address. Dr. Grace, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Samuel Jacobs-Abbey. At least I can pronounce your name correctly, right? I mean, I deserve a gift. So, dear friends, thank you so much. I am so honored to be here at the United Nations with my friend, my colleague, Dr. Abbey, that we have worked together, I think for many years now since we're in school. But it's an honor to be here at the United Nations to see how all the great women and surprisingly even men. I wish you guys could be here, but I was so happy to see the number of men who came to celebrate us women and to push forward and discussions discussing of different issues that has been going on with women and girls. So thank you, the leadership and everyone who is on this forum today, and also those who are not here in the leadership of Jagil. We are honored to be given this opportunity to share a few words on this topic of inspiring inclusion, a topic that has been an ongoing discussion even here at the United Nations during this CSW68, the Commission on the Status of Women. For 2 weeks now, all women around the globe have been here, and of course, addressing all those different issues that we may all know and have been you have witnessed in your local areas. There is hope. There is hope because seeing the number of people who are here, there's a great hope. And I know for sure that as the discussions continue and sharing all these challenges and so that we may take initiatives that will help eradicate and bring change in our communities, there is hope. Although this topic has been discussed over and over again, there is still need to continue with the discussion so that we reinforce the awareness of the impact that the beauty of inclusiveness brings to us in the communities. So what do you think about inclusion or inspiring inclusion? What comes in your mind at first? At least many discussion has been going on even here. Different people have mentioned it, creating a world where everyone gets a fair opportunity, of course, equality for all, no matter, it doesn't matter where you come from, the language you speak, or gender, or the social status. And for me, I would say that inspiring inclusion is embracing the one that is not the same as you. Embracing inclusion is to embrace someone else who is different totally from you. It's hard, I know. As Dr. Jacobs said, I lived in different refugee camps, actually 4 different refugee camps before I came in this country. It wasn't easy as I experienced different refugee camps and how different places embraced my family and I. We were rejected, of course, first of all, from the differences of our cultures, languages, and you can vividly see that these people, we are not embraced in this community, or we are not embraced in this area. From the word that comes out, the dismissing of the capability of something that you know for sure I am able to do this, but immediately when they see you, when they hear you talk, they dismiss you immediately. It's an experience that I and my family experienced a few years ago. But you know what? We are resilient, right? Women and even men who have been helping women to grow, we stand up strong, even when we are rejected, so that we show the world that no matter how we can be rejected, as long as you know you're right, you can stand up and fight for what is right. So, inspiring inclusion, you accept to learn, even to learn from that person. Accept to learn a new thing. That's the beauty of it. Let me give an example of I traveled to one of the country with my former work, and then I was the only one who could speak French, and there was an issue that time, and it was very crucial that I needed to be there for the team. And since I was the only one who could be able to understand the language, I could see now everyone embracing me so that to solve the issue that was going on. So sometimes one small thing can make a huge difference. So don't ever dismiss yourself even when some people are dismissing you. I'm encouraging you on that time, on right there, when you know something is not going well, stand up, stay strong, and believe in yourself that one thing that you have that another person does not have can bring a change to their whole community or to the place where you are right now. So today, I would like to focus also on this, how we can how together we can inspire inclusion in our different levels of life or where we live or in our workplaces. By creating an environment where every person who is surrounding you feels safe. See them, that person who lives with you, you work with them, who don't even know how to speak English or your language. Give them the voice. Be attentive to hear, at least even to understand what they mean when they're speaking to you. So, as I mentioned about, many times we dismiss potential people because of misconceptions of their geographical background, language differences, a barrier, and the different beliefs of our culture. But I know that in this generation, we are better. And as I said, there's hope. So how can we inspire inclusion right now as we continue with the discussion? And I'm strongly believing in what women can do, because I know when women comes together, there's that their resilience will bring a total change, because there's power in togetherness, in believing in one another. Speak up. Speak up. Don't be silent. You know what is right. You know the issues in your own community. I know the issue that is in my community. Dr. Abbey mentioned earlier that I am the founder of African Gazelle Foundation. Why did I found African Gazelle Foundation? What was the issue that was burning in me? Is the lack of education in my community. Young girls not going to school, young girls who are really, really hunger to go to school, but they couldn't. The same as me, experienced the same thing before I became the person I am today. I experienced the same thing. So when we know the issue that is going on in our area, of course, it is our responsibilities as leaders to stand up and speak up to those who cannot speak for themselves. Reason why we have been given the knowledge and opportunity to advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves. And the third thing is to refuse the stereotyping. When you are labeled with names, a few years ago, I was labeled with names and refugee or my English. When I landed in this country, one of the culture shock that I experienced is when I would speak and someone would be, what? I can't hear you. And to a point, some of the people are like, oh, well, let's just do text and emails. So you are being dismissed openly, that you feel even that you don't belong in that community, you don't belong in that workplace where you want to share your expertise. But I know that your resilience, and also the power of knowing what you have as a person, you will stand strong enough to fight for what is right for you. So it is very important for us as leaders in our respective areas of our work or leadership to continually discuss on this topic. Because if not, we'll be losing great people, powerful members who could come in our areas, in our teams, and bring new powerful skills or knowledge that could help even the work that we do. So, few questions that I have for you today. What does inclusion mean to you as a person? And how do you participate in our today's society to promote inclusion? It can be even in your house, in your home, your family, because you know what? First education will begin in your home, your family, or your church, I don't know, or your workplace. How do you participate in promoting inclusion? And how do you create a safe environment to those who are around you? Are you that person who someone can feel safe with you? Someone can feel, I can run to this person to ask for help? Are you that person that someone who is rejected, to be honest? Let me give an example of maybe on workplaces where you find there are cliques, groups that are set up already, or in your job area, that when you have someone even new, it is hard for them to be embraced and be in that clique that is already set up. How can you create a safe environment to those who are around you? Let this movement start with us as leaders. Change must begin with us. And not only just with words, but taking actions of including or inclusiveness and creating safe environment to all, no matter the age, the color of our different geographical area or backgrounds. I believe as leaders, we are better, and we can make a better environment for those who are rejected. African Gaza Foundation, we have been at the key core of our mission to inspire and share, embracing everyone that comes on our way, by thriving so hard that you are seen. And we want to equip you, and we want to provide that education. We we thrive to make sure that all the participants, all the team that comes to us, they feel safe with us, they feel welcome, and they feel seen and heard, to be able to express what is in their heart and share with us. So let me say this, and this is a statement that has been coming in my mind, in my heart through this week, as I've been hearing different women here at the United Nations discussing and sharing about different experiences. Embracing inclusion is the start of breaking bridges that's what I feel in my heart, that as we break the bridges through inclusion, we are inspiring, we are building great leaders for tomorrow. And I will welcome you to join this movement, standing up together with all the women who are around here, and even the men who came all over the world, to participate in this work of inspiring inclusion to all in our communities. And that will start with you and me. And the next will be your family. The next will be your work and other places where you are involved in your daily basis. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share a few words on this great topic that has been discussed intensively. But I know that together there is hope, because we are thriving to bring change for the women and girls, the leaders of tomorrow. And this is where we start with. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Grace Ngubantu. Let us clap for her if you can. Using emojis, you can use whatever expression you can. And that is really, really powerful and very insightful. And actually listening to you, I've asked myself one question. Could I be the reason? Could I be the reason why somebody is not getting justice? Could I be the reason why? Because perhaps I'm quiet, perhaps I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. And thank you for reminding us that we have a responsibility. My name is Caroline Ngati. I'm your host, and thank you, Professor Samuel Jacobs-Abbey, for stepping in. And thank you all guests for creating time to be with us today. We are here to learn, to have fun, and to impact. Yes, so feel welcome. And next we are going to a session. We all realize that we have come from somewhere and we are going somewhere. So sometimes it's good to look back and see, where have we come from? Perhaps we will be motivated. Perhaps we will get insights on what to do. And perhaps we know what to do next if you are the reason. Just like what I've learned now, I could be a reason. Thank you. And Professor Jacobs-Abbey, please go ahead. In this presentation that we have, we want to listen to a story.
Every year on the 8th of March, International Women's Day is celebrated across the globe. It's a day to recognise female achievement and a call to action, encouraging everyone to stand up for women's rights and gender equality. Gender equality means no matter your gender, you're granted the same rights, privileges, and access to opportunities as everyone else. You may be thinking, why is this day so important? Throughout history, women have had to fight for the freedom and rights we enjoy today. 150 years ago, women couldn't vote, stand in parliament, receive proper medical attention, own property, access fair legal support, get paid the same as men, visit the same public areas as men, get a proper education. The list goes on. 150 years ago, people lived in a very different world to what we know now. So how did things change? Someone didn't snap their fingers and then bam, women had all the rights. Change occurred gradually through the tireless efforts of brave women and men fighting together for what is right. Let's rewind. In the late 19th century, the fight for women's suffrage began gaining momentum. Suffrage means the right to vote, and at this time, only men could do so. This meant that all the political decisions were decided by men, including those that only affected women. As time passed, some women grew increasingly frustrated by the lack of progress and failed attempts to achieve suffrage. One of these women was Emmeline Pankhurst, who responded by forming the Women's Social and Political Union in 1903, which encouraged a stronger kind of activism. This led to years of protests, rallies, and strikes, with women being arrested, jailed, injured, and some even losing their lives in the fight for suffrage. When the First World War was declared in 1914, suffragettes shifted their campaign to encourage women's involvement in the war effort. The devastation of war brought the nation together in support of one another, and attitudes began to change. Women took on responsibilities and jobs that they were previously excluded from, like working as mechanics and drivers. In 1918, the Representation of the People Bill was passed, giving women the right to vote. However, it was only some women of a certain age and circumstance. It wasn't until 1928 that all women over 21 were finally allowed to vote. The right to vote is instrumental in creating a society that is fair and just. Imagine if all the UK were one gigantic football team. Half of the team can play exactly as they are, while the other is blindfolded. The team probably isn't going to do so great. The same goes for a society. If everyone has the same rights and freedoms, a society can grow and develop in a way that benefits everyone. Once women were able to vote, the ball began rolling on other rights, like political representation, access to greater opportunities, fairer pay, and working rights. As you can see, change takes time. It wasn't until 1979 that Britain had its first female Prime Minister, which was 76 years after Emmeline Pankhurst first established the Women's Social and Political Union. So what does gender equality look like today? We are fortunate to live in a time and place where incredible opportunities are in abundance. Everyone can get an education, access healthcare, get a job, and speak their minds. However, we still have some work to do before we reach equality for all. One way that gender inequality plays out in our everyday life is through stereotypes. A stereotype is a generalised opinion of a person or group of people. Ever heard someone say something like, "You throw like a girl," or "boys don't cry"? These kinds of phrases exist because of centuries of restrictive ideas about gender that really aren't true or fair. People are way too unique and complex to fit neatly in a box. Girls and boys can be athletic, fast and strong. And of course, everyone cries. It's normal and healthy to express your feelings and to be vulnerable. Stereotypes can be really damaging and can prevent you from being yourself and reaching your potential. Today, women are still the minority in Parliament, leadership roles and career fields like science and engineering, as well as making less money than men on average. So, this International Women's Day, think about what you could do to help in the fight for equality. Everyone benefits when we are all treated equally. Why not celebrate the amazing achievements of women you admire, especially now you know just what it took to get there?
This is a short video just to give you a background that inclusion and empowerment of women in our society didn't just started. This has been going on for a long time. Just as today, all the people around the world are celebrating Martin Luther King and the individuals who actually fought for the Black inclusion into our society. The same can be said of the women who stood for the right of women to be included in the everyday activities. Unfortunately, we have come to a place in the world where we have taken such ambition and challenges for granted. Sometimes when freedom becomes so easier for you, we fail to recognize that people fought for what we are enjoying. Just as we saw in the video, it took 76 years for Britain to have its first prime minister. Guess what? If the United States it's 200 years old, it means in the last 200 years, we've not been able to even elect a woman as a president in the United States of America. Same can be said across the globe, across the African countries and everywhere. Just a handful of women like Sirleaf Johnson, like Dr. Joyce Banda and co, who happen to break the status quo, just as Dr. Grace mentioned in the opening remark, that inclusion becomes the beginning of breaking the barriers. And so we should not take some of these things for granted because we have them at our disposal. Others toil for it, others fought for it, and today we are celebrating this moment. And so I want to add my voice to the voice of the video and all the people around this platform that as we celebrate women, we shouldn't consider it just as a routine, as a nice thing to do, as a nice thing to say. Then you are actually wasting your time and deceiving yourself and pretending to be a champion of women cause. But for anything, as an institute, we believe that women have equal participation in our day-to-day development and growth. That is why inclusion becomes an important component of our involvement. So on that note, I want to thank all of you once again for listening and watching that video. I think Caroline, Engineer Caroline, are you there yet? If not, we don't have too much time, so we want to move forward. If Caroline joins us, she takes over from me. At this point, we are going to introduce our panelists, and we are going to have a panel discussion on the subject. And this is where our audience from around the world, you have the opportunity to interact with our panelists as well. And you can also be in the chat to throw in questions that you want us to ask the panelists as well. So the individuals that we want to invite to join our panel discussion for today, it's people that we may be familiar with because they have always been around Jagils and they've been contributing to the work that we do. So the first individual that I want to introduce, it's Juliana Kulofia, as I had mentioned earlier on. Juliana is the Executive Director of Girls Excellence Movement, and then she also serves as the chairwoman of the Board of Trustees of the Jacobs-Abbey Global Institute for Leadership Studies. She is an amazing, powerful woman I don't joke with at all, and so I'm very excited to have her. She has tons of experience when it comes to the discussion of women and the involvement of women. And so Juliana will be one of our panelists. And then we also have Margaret Chichi Nkere. Chichi is based in Nigeria, and she has also been an integral part of the women's movement and the voice for women. And we are also excited to have Chichi to join this panel as we discuss the subject on the inclusion. And then we also have Dr. Adama. Dr. Adama, as I had mentioned earlier on, Dr. Adama, she's the Executive Director of the Impact Sierra Leone. As we speak now, she has actually traveled to Sierra Leone right now. And so she's speaking to us all the way from Sierra Leone. as well. So without wasting much time, I want to bring our panelists to the discussion, and then we will begin the conversation if all of them are ready to roll.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Dr. Abe. My name is Juliana Amaklofia. As you've already heard Doc introduce me, I'm the founder and executive director for the Girls Excellence Movement. And within the gender space, I've been very active as an activist in advocating for women's rights, women inclusion in governance, women inclusion in policy making, and women inclusion in lawmaking as well. And then I'm also very much involved in empowering young girls and building their capacity so they could take on leadership in every field. I've also been involved in social research, where one of the research we conducted about girls' education and the issues that affect it in Ghana actually impacted policy, where the Ministry of Education went ahead to develop some policy to guide in handling sexual harassment in senior high schools, and they acknowledged that that policy was influenced by the recommendations we made in our report, which was titled Sheltered Yet Exposed. So that's just a bit about me. We'll get into the issue of this inclusion when my colleagues introduce themselves. Once again, you're all welcome, and thank you.
I'm Odosewa Edima Appel, the Executive Director of for the Odosewa Foundation and UN Association of Ghana, Women Organizer for Asante Region.
Chichi Nkiri. I'm joining from Lagos, Nigeria, and I'm the founder of Leadership, Empowerment, and Development Innovation Initiative Africa, a non-profit organization that is focused on ensuring that we advocate for the rights of the vulnerable population. And for us, the vulnerable population includes women, girls, children, youths, the aged, and persons with disabilities. And we have been in our various activities working with different coalitions as well as the Lagos State government to ensure that we advocate through policy advocacy for the rights and well-being of the vulnerable population.
Experiences, also corporate experiences that hopefully today we will be able to learn from them. Especially that this year we are focusing on inclusion. So we want to know, what is inclusion in their perspective? Because as earlier stated, that I could be the reason why inclusion is not happening. You could be the reason why somebody is not included or involved in the capacity that they are able to do. So thank you all guests and panelists. And because introductions have been already done, I'll go straight to what we want to discuss about. And so my first question, and really after listening to the history and appreciating what has been done before, we recognize that we are in the millennium century. There are those who are experiencing different seasons, right? In their respective countries, they represent societies and cultures. And so my first question goes to Juliana. And we would like to understand from your perspective, do you think in the current society we have inclusion challenges? And if there are, in your personal experience, elaborate them. Can we relate that?
Yes, of course, we have challenges. And we've had challenges for eons. And we've made a lot of we've made a lot of strides from the video we watched, that we started from somewhere. We have come a long way in terms of achievement and bridging the gaps and all that. But then there is still a long way to go. A long way to go, because when we hear inclusion, the very first thing that comes to mind is adding on. And because in some spaces where there is gender discrimination, or there is race discrimination, or disability or ability discrimination, the moment we add on, we assume that we have achieved or we have solved the problem. So that is why on the surface, sometimes it may look as though inclusion is not an issue, or that we do not have discrimination, but we do. We do in the area that when we just simply add on without creating an enabling environment for the marginalized that we've added on to thrive, then even though we've added them into the space that they did not use to exist in, we haven't empowered them or equipped them to actually succeed there. So we have added them on, but we haven't included them. So to me, inclusion goes beyond adding on. So for instance, if we are working in an environment that is male dominated, and we just bring in 5 women to add on, we haven't included gender, or we haven't included women. We've only added 5 women. If we have not given them the voice, the voting power, and the abilities, all the abilities that the men have to make impact or to influence decision, then we've just added them on. We have not included them. So by inclusion, let me define inclusion now, since I have said that adding on is not inclusion. What inclusion is first of all, realizing that discrimination is a reality. We have gender discrimination, we have ability discrimination, we have race discrimination, and if we come to Africa, limiting it to our homes, we have ethnic discrimination, and sometimes we even have tribal discrimination. And all these affect women in diverse ways, in business, in getting involved in decision making, in everything. These discriminations I have listed affect us. So we need to first of all realize that discrimination exists, regardless of how far we have come. We have not solved it totally. It exists. Second, we need to acknowledge that privileges do exist. Some have privilege per their gender. So if we are talking about women and men, then more men have privileges than women do. For instance, my male counterpart has a privilege when he is deciding to just pack a bag and travel to Dubai tomorrow on a business trip. My time to travel, I have to think about who takes care of the kids, what would they eat while I'm not there. So I do not have that privilege he has to simply just get up and pack a bag and jump at an opportunity. And that's because of a discrimination from our culture, where we have placed the burden of care on women, much more on women. So because of that, I do not have that privilege to jump at an opportunity that's coming at me this afternoon and expecting me to be on a flight at the evening and arrive in Dubai tomorrow. But my male counterpart has that privilege. Being aware and acknowledging that privilege imparts how we practice inclusion. Then the next one will be the I, which is invest. If you add me into a boardroom without the infrastructure needed to exist there, you have added me, you haven't included me. For instance, if we choose to include women with a disability, let's choose blindness, into a space, and we haven't provided braille or facilities that will make them read the document before they make a comment. We haven't if we included someone with a hearing disability, we haven't included or provided hearing aid in the facility that makes them make impact. Then we have added them, we haven't included them. So we need to invest in infrastructure. If you include a woman who is in a wheelchair, your environment should be friendly for her to move about in her state and still make impact. With that, if you invest, it means that you have included and empowered, which takes me to the empowerment. We need to empower. If you put me in the room and I don't have a voting right, and then you brag, oh, we've added 2 more women. In our boardroom, we have 4 women. Are these 4 women, do they have voting rights? When it comes to voting on a critical issue, do they have the equal voting power the men in the room have? If they do not, you have included, you have included, you have added on, not included. And my final one is taking space. From the video, we realized that the women who took the space ahead of us, which led to the Beijing conference, which led to today's discussion, took space. They did not wait to be included or to be given the space. I equally acknowledge as privilege that there are places that we need to wait to be given the space, but there are equally places that we need to take the space. So I would say that inclusion means to those of us who feel marginalized, it equally means to us that we need to take space. And by that, I will conclude by saying that inclusion is a two-way affair. That the person who is marginalized need to take space in areas that they have the power to, or they have the ability to influence taking space. And then to those who are at a privilege and have the responsibility to create the environment and do the realizing, the acknowledging, the investing and empowering. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I answered your question.
Yes, you definitely answered. In fact, you surpassed the marks. If I was to aware.
That's why she's Juliana.
Thank you so much. And it's good that you actually mentioned that being present physically does not mean you're included. Yeah. I have never looked at it that way, but now I think I can look at it from that angle. That as long as I'm in a room and I'm a lady and I didn't say anything, yes, the gender rule is met, but nothing happened. And so with that in mind, I would like to ask to hear her perspective. Executive Director of Sewa Foundation. I recognize the much experience that you have over a long period of time, and you have interacted with both the female and the male gender across. And in your experience and perspective, and the challenges that have been highlighted by Juliana, and also in your experience, how do you think, is history perhaps dictating the current situation? Is the economic situations dictating the lack of inclusivity? Or even societal factors contributing to it?
100%. Because in my case, what I've experienced is discrimination among women in everything, in decision making, politically, in terms of everything. Men in tribalism, history, and in our culture, the men always put in some of our religions, they discriminate women from the men. They don't even take some of the women's ideas. They always focus on men. And in those days, women are not taken to school in Ghana here, where I come from. They always take men in school and leave the women behind. They use women in farming a whole lot. So indiscrimination, yet, is still going on. So women are always, we are not inclusive in most of activities, decision makings, everything. So in my view, I think it's time women have to, they include women in most activities, in political and other things. They have to include women in all decision makings, activities, political, everything. Though men are the head of the family, but sometimes when they include women in their decision makings, things go on well for them. But sometimes, or most of the times, they leave women behind, the scenes. So it's time they include women in all decision makings and other activities. That's my opinion for now.
Specifically for those factors.
Well, thank you very much, Caroline. I think it's a very important question you just asked. You see, for me, I think everything is about the mindset. Everything is about perspective. Everything is about appreciation and gratitude. If we go through the tenets of life, you will realize that there is a golden rule and there is a platinum rule. The golden rule says that do unto others what you want others to do unto you. Now, if you want women to feel empowered and to be part and parcel of a process, you ought to be intentional around them. Now, during the introduction and welcoming of all of you to this platform, I had mentioned from the beginning that women are a very powerful resource that God has given us. If you have a woman around you, irrespective of how you think, you know you will be very well managed. Women are good managers. They are very resourceful. They have the ability to stomach a lot of things. And so I personally believe that it's a mindset. We need to come to that space, just as Juliana had mentioned, we need to come to that space that we will not only add women to the process so that we'll check the marks, but we should be able to equally give them the opportunity to bring the value that they bring to the table. If you personally watch my style of leadership, the people around every organization that I happen to lead, majority of them are people or they are women. If you look at the Jacobs-Abbey Global Institute for Leadership Studies, for instance, and you look at our board of trustees, you realize the majority of them are powerful women. If you look at our alumni leadership, you realize that 80% of them are women. I believe in the capacity and the empowerment of women into our space. And so that space needs to go beyond that little area into our homes, into our workplace, into our offices, in our inner spaces. We should be able to be intentional and include women in every aspect of the things that we do. But one important factor that I also need to mention, and I think Juliana had touched on it, is the ability for women to have equal rights as men. You know, we are not talking about religion here. This is not religion where a man will say that I'm the head of the home. That we are not talking about religion here. We are talking about empowerment. So women should have that ability if Juliana's competence is equally match my competence and I am paid 100,000 a year, she should get 100,000 a year. She shouldn't be given 50,000 because she's a woman. That is in itself is discrimination. And so, for want of time, I will say that we should be intentional to be inclusive of women in everything that we do, not only just to bring them to the table, but to allow their value to be felt in the room. Thank you very much, Juliana. Caroline.
Thank you so
Um,
much for that
Can I,
highlight.
Sister
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Caroline, can I say something?
Yes, please.
Yeah, just a comment to add on what Dr. Adu is saying, but a little bit different is that, but how do we also as women embrace inclusion among ourselves? Or are we continually throwing the blame to men or those who are not giving us an opportunity? One question is that how, as women, also are we working hard towards the change that we want to see? Thank you.
Well, I will say to you, Dr. Grace, the reason why you will see that whenever we are having a gender-based conversation, it tends to be focused primarily on men, is because our society has become male-dominated. Of course, we as women also have a responsibility to ensure that they are intentional, aware, and also to include the same standard that we hold of men into the system. But majority of the case, a ratio of probably 6-1 has been male dominated. And that is why it adds that most of the time you will see that we become unconsciously biased in gearing towards that space. But the fact of the matter is that, as I said, it should be the golden rule. If you work, you must pay for your worth and not what I think you deserve. Thank you so much. Because of time, so Caroline, I hand over back to you.
Thank you so much. I think we are learning a lot, and it's very, very eye-opening on how even we as women should look at inclusivity. There are several aspects. I like also the part that Professor Samuel Abe recognizes that at home, the man is the head of the house, yeah? But at the corporate field, be the expert that is qualified to get what they are supposed to get and represent as it should be. And with that, I would like to request and to inquire. There is the context of intersectionality. And the concept of intersectionality that is happening is that there are several systems that represent inequality based on gender, on race, on ethnicity, on sexual orientation, disability, class. That is a concept that is happening. And so I would like to inquire from Madam Chichinkire. Do you think that this intersectionality has impacted personal and professional achievements and breaking the barriers? And in your perspective, what should we do to ensure that that concept does not barriers from what we can achieve the best?
Thank you very much, Caroline, for bringing this up. Yes, I would say that in the context of intersectionality, there are a lot of factors that has hindered women from ensuring that they attain their equal status in the society. Just like Dr. rightly said in his opening speech, women's rights are human rights. And that has been made in the international law provisions of the UN. And therefore, it calls for the need for all forms of discrimination against women and every type of offense against women's human rights to be shunned. And there is the need to call for equal rights for both women and men. And so, but in reality, we know that this cannot really be achieved because of the several factors that looms within our society. And this factor stems from the fact that we have institutional issues within countries, because some governments have failed to ensure that they are able to keep to their promises of ensuring and upholding human rights, especially women's human rights. And one of these factors that I know that is really plaguing our societies is the issue of patriarchy. We understand that we live in a patriarchal society where men dominate power structures. And so today, the issue of patriarchy is really, really affecting women, even though we have women that are breaking barriers, but there are still gaps. And patriarchy is one of the key within our systems. We have the issue of patriarchy because we all know that our society is being dominated by power structures, which is being controlled mainly by men. Even though we have women that are breaking barriers, it is still quite obvious that there are institutional gaps that needs to be closed so that women can attain their status in society. When we look at the issue of women social economic empowerment, we find that we have less women being socially and economically empowered globally, and is even worse within Africa. So that is why there is need for us to begin to amplify our voices, just as we are doing today, to ensure that women's socio-economic empowerment is being taken seriously. Just like Doctor said earlier, we need to be intentional. You see, when more women work, economies grow, if you would agree with me. Therefore, increasing women, girls' educational attainment will contribute to women's economic empowerment and more inclusive, environmental, and sustainable economic growth. And one way to do is do this access to education for women and girls, especially in the rural areas, upskilling and reskilling, especially to keep pace with the rapid technological transformation affecting jobs. These are critical for women and girls' health and well-being, even as well as their income generation opportunities, and also their participation in the labor market. Another key factor we can look at is the issue of our cultural norms. Even within the household, you find out that some women do not have the opportunity to take decisions concerning their well-being when it comes to their health, issues about family planning,
Yes,
issues about economic, financial empowerment. You find out that there are a lot of women who don't even have a bank account. Why? You will hear some of them tell you, oh, my husband said we can only use one bank account. Why?
Yes. Very good question. I will request to Katisha. I know it's a very good question, but I'll be coming back to you towards the end for the interest of time. And you've asked a very important question, why? Yeah, why? And at that point where I've just stopped you at why, I would like to invite Dr. Adama. I recognize that you have interacted with women. You have interacted with men. Yeah, in your field of expertise and what you do in Sierra Leone, and with your experience and interaction as where we are right now, what is the urgency of addressing lack of inclusivity? And you have successfully been able to do inclusivity in your programs. What tools do you use? Do you think we should go back and learn the tools, because so that we can actually be able to address why? Yeah. Are we not using the right tools? Are we not hearing them well? Please tell us.
Thank you. I am Dr. Adama Koloko, founder of Impact Sierra Leone. I hope you can hear me. I've been having some network issues, but that comes with the territory. I am so happy to be on this panel, and definitely a joy to join you from Sierra Leone. This is an outreach visit, and everything that you guys have spoken is speaking to me in so many ways. And so you asked about the tools. I love that, because I do believe that we all need a toolkit to grow, to become better, to thrive. And that is what I see when I come and visit communities. I want them to access tools and to thrive. Maybe not exactly the same way. I'd love that, but to start from where we are, to start with where we can with what we have. And so I look at it as a thing, it's going back to the basics, recognizing that we all have a voice. And me, I try to use my voice. And if you see my social media or my platforms, I do everything I possibly can to use my voice. And so how did I get here? I am a descendant of Sierra Leone, born in Washington, D.C. of America. But my parents are from Sierra Leone. So the connection is there. And from there, I began to get my voice. They are the first ones who put into me a voice that I can use to help people. And so what do I do with that voice? How do I know that my voice can transcend and become impactful? Because I've recognized my value. And so you have a voice, but you also recognize that you are valuable. Those two are powerful. And that is my toolkit and what I use to approach the communities. I don't go to them wanting them to know that I have riches and glories or whatnot. I come and I let them know, listen, I am here because I'm your daughter, and I recognize the culture, and I recognize that there are existing norms that should not be. So I pride that one of the things Impact Sierra Leone, we do pride ourselves in pushing the gender equality agenda. And I came here, I've been here since Tuesday. And from the first time and moment I got here, I was picked up by one of my team members who's a woman empowerment global leader. And I pour into my volunteers first. And I want to make sure that their mindset is right, that we have a mission to use our voice and to know that they are valuable. And so once you have people that know that they are valuable, then they have use. Then they can believe that I am able to make a change in my community. So I want to fast forward to Impact Sierra Leone's effort to bring inclusivity to the women that we are serving. In 2022, I visited a rural community, and most of our outreach is in the rural community, because I recognize their needs are greater. And we went into a village called Poindu, and it's a remote village network. Access to basic resources, non-existent. And again, my mindset was, I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to bring hope and really help restore that's what's needed for the community. And what I noticed is that the men were so excited. I noticed they took charge in the meeting and just coordinating my visit and coordinating everything. And it was something that it just started me, because I didn't know it really existed like that. And the women, they did what they could. They cooked, they made sure I was comfortable, but their voice was not heard. In a small part of my mind, it did bother me. But I knew, again, at that moment, that wasn't the moment to say, I'm going to stand up for the women and say this is not right. But what I did come back to when I came back to the U.S. is I want to find a way to change that. I want to find a way to find and help them find their voice. And so fast forward is I created a women's farm group because I gave them the mic and they said, we want our own project. So today, and why I'm here in Sierra Leone, is for Women's History Month. I'm going to the women. We're going to encourage them. We're going to empower them. We're going to paint in the village, and we're going to give them opportunities to show me their farming and whatnot. So I guess in summary, it's just really helping those who don't have a voice find their voice, know their value, and then remind them that they can be a change in right where they are. Impact Sierra Leone is the organization.
Thank you very much for reminding us that we have a voice to use. We can speak. We can express.
Yes.
And whereas we speak and express, we can actually be able to be composed, and express our points on the table in a meeting, in a manner that can be understood, and even encouraging others in the marginal areas to speak. And at this point, I would like to interact with the audience, and the audience to interact with the panelists that are here with us today. And if you allow me, I recognize the presence of Professor Rodica Pop from Romania. And we would like to hear your views on these tools. Yeah. Having climbed the ladder, what do you think, in your experience, we can do? Please go ahead, Professor Rodica.
Well, hello, everybody. Nice meeting you. Sorry for being late, but I understood another time, not 4 o'clock. I understood 5 o'clock at my time. Congratulations for such a meeting, for a wonderful debate. That is very, very, very important. What to say? First of all, the women have to have self-confidence, to trust themselves. If they trust themselves, they can trust the others, and they can share their views, their ideas to everybody else. But it is true, we want or we don't want to recognize, but our position, it is not as strong as the men's position. They are more powerful by their instinct, by their basic instinct. We can do exactly what we want if we are allowed to do, if we have the way open. Here in Romania, it is a problem, but not exactly the same problem as you have. There are other kind of problems with the women. They have the right to work. Unfortunately, they work twice more than a man. But we fight. We fight. We have to fight. And to keep our position strong. That's why I'm talking about self-confidence. To trust, we have to trust. But first of all, a strong inner power, a strong inner determination. And then we have to know very well what we want. where we want to, what we want to achieve, where we want to arrive, and make a way. And where there is a will, there is a way. So that's the line we follow.
Yes.
But you have to know that we have problems, a lot of problems, and many problems.
Yes.
That's our position.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for actually highlighting us and helping us to see where we are and how we can go forward. And for the interest of time now, I would just like to request and to ask a parting shot, 10 seconds parting shot to every panelist. We need a way forward. I believe from today we have stopped from being victims. We are no longer victims.
Yes.
We are the action takers.
Yes.
We are the ones to make the society better for our future children. So the action is on. We are no longer victims from today. We are the change makers. So I would like to give every panelist 10 seconds maximum, a parting shot in a summarized sentence as we end the panel session. First, I would like to start with Miss Juliana.
Thank you. In my parting word, like I said earlier, I would say that women, we need to take space. By space, I mean that when we find ourselves in the rooms, we are as equally intelligent and powerful and equipped as anyone in the room. So when we enter the rooms and there are no chairs, bring a chair and sit. Create the space and take the space. We are no longer victims, like we've already said. So let's go out there and take the space. I know that sometimes there is imposter syndrome, there is the fear of making mistake and messing the room up or messing the opportunity up for other women. But let's feel the fear and take space anyway. Let's feel the imposter syndrome and take space anyway, because guess what? The men we are in the rooms with feel those fears and have sometimes they also have those imposter syndromes, but they do it anyway. So go out there and take space. Together, let's inspire inclusion. Thank you.
As I think about inspiring inclusion, I love quick acronyms. So I have my Power E's, in which I'm going to continue to utilize to inspire inclusion. That's through education, equipping, meaning equipping them with tools that they need, empowering, encouraging, engaging them, making them feel like they are at the table. Entrepreneurship. We want to develop these women, not only for them to have the tools, but for them to actually be income generators, bringing in resources and being a part of that community change and economically. So this is what I will continue to use as a drive for inspiring inclusion. And I want all of us to continue to think about that in our daily journey as well. And so I'm giving a shout out to the women farmers of Boindu Village. Thank you guys for this opportunity, and God bless. Stay tuned.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Chichi.
Multi-stakeholders approach. Therefore, it behooves on all of us as individuals, as governments, as corporate organizations, institutions, to come together and join forces to ensure that we take priority to ensure that women are included, especially in leadership and social, economic, and decision-making processes. Because formulating policies based on sex, stereotyping, and patriarchal traditions will not help the situation at all. So there is a need for affirmative actions. Empowering women and girls, women-led businesses, feminist civil society organizations requires recognizing the importance of ensuring that women issues are prioritized. Therefore, in conclusion, this is a call for every one of us to take up affirmative actions. Let us not just inspire inclusion, but let us act inclusion.
Thank you very much, Chichi, for that. Odosewa, you want to give us your 30 seconds?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Most of the women, most of the people always do say women are their own enemies. So what are we doing about that quote? And sometimes most of the people also say, if you give a room to a woman, she become bossy and do things which is drive away from people, away from getting closer to a woman. And finally, what I would say, investing in a woman's economic participation is a catalyst for inclusive growth and prosperity by providing women with access to education, skill training, financial resources, and others. So I will end here with much thanks.
Thank you very much, Odosewa. Are you back? Okay, I think Caroline is just joining now. So Caroline, if you've heard us.
I would like now to invite any audience in participants that has a question, a comment, please share with us as we proceed towards the close of the event. Anybody, you can please raise your hand and I will unmute you, or you can unmute from your end and we can proceed. Anyone? Yes, Prof Rodica, I can see your hand. Yes.
Yes. So I think it's really very important to follow three principles of SEE: self-reflection, example, and education. That's very important to have it, because if we have if we can give the young people education, they can act, because they trust themselves, and they can educate not only themselves but others also. So that's why I think education is the main important tools to start with education and to finish with education. Educating people, we can go on, we can make a change. So
Yes.
that's my opinion. And then to have this self-reflection, what we did and what we want to do and where we want to get and to arrive. Because
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. And any other person? Yes, Madam Adama, for the interest of time, keep it very short because we are 8 minutes into the end. Yes.
Yes, I'll keep it very short. I believe it was Juliana that mentioned something about infrastructure. And I believe that's a really key way for inclusivity, because you provide infrastructures in place where women can thrive and have those opportunities to succeed. And so that's something that we are doing with Impact Sierra Leone. We're working towards building a skills training center. So that's actually what I'm going to be doing, is doing a kind of like a groundbreaking. But it is important because it will allow that technology piece to be brought in, the education piece, where we are working with communities that are 80% illiterate. So I just thought I would add that as a key component to really bring inclusivity to the table. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and for all the panelists and the comments. I was looking at the chat to see if there's any other comment. We don't have any other comment on the chat. And maybe before I welcome the president of Inspire Us Alumni Network, my key takeaways from this discussion is that we have the tool, the voice. We just need to use it.
Exactly.
And being part of a team does not mean you are included. It is until you use your knowledge, you use your education, you use that platform which you have been given, then that is when we realize inclusivity. I also learned that there are several challenges. Yeah. Our society is still developing. We have a lot of intersectionality. This is the reality. The other reality is that we can actually be included. And with that, I want to thank each and every one of us for participating. Much gratitude to all the panelists and the audience for making this discussion happen. Thank you for the opportunity to moderate this session. And at this point, I would like to invite the president of Inspire Us Alumni Network. Inspire Us Alumni Network is an alumni network of Jagils Institute, Jacobs-Abbey Global Institute. And Professor Alma, please go ahead. Welcome.
So much, Carolyn. And I just want to say this was an excellent time spent here this morning. And so thank you all for being here. We want to especially thank our keynote speaker. We want to thank all of our exceptional for sharing with us your knowledge and your wisdom in this topic, and also giving us the tools and some of the nuggets that you have used to be successful, and how we can bring along other women so that we together can be included in our societies, to make sure that our societies are being enhanced and being improved much better than it is now. We've been able to now, as women, enjoy the laboring of other women in the past that has given us the opportunity to be educated and everything like that. And like our panelists have shared with us today, it is very important that we continue to be strong in our determination as women to bring along other people. It is very important to use our voice. It is important to use all the tools that we have been able to discover, to use to make ourselves or bring ourselves to the point where we are included and not just brought to the table. And so it's very important that we take the space that we have been given, as we have been told today. So we just want to say thank you to everyone for coming on this morning. Thank you to everyone for participating. Thank you for our audience, because without you, we wouldn't have this great opportunity to be able to share these nuggets with everyone. And so we just want to say God bless you all. And we say that enjoy your day for the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for your time. I don't want to add more, subtract more, but otherwise just to appreciate each one of you and to wish you a fruitful inclusivity journey. Next year, we want to talk different. Next year, we want to talk what did we achieve after we are included. Thank you very much. And I wish you all the best. Thank you.
All right, thank you, guys. We really appreciate all of you once again. Just as Caroline said, we are grateful. Next year, we want to see a lot of you come to the United Nations so you can sit in person and enjoy the beautiful sessions. Hopefully next year, Dr. Adama will not be in Sierra Leone. She will be here so she can be at the United Nations as well, so we can have the. But I am very grateful. Thank you, Dr. Grace Faraja Kundabantu, for the powerful keynote delivery. Thank you, our panelists, for the awesome delivery. Thank you, Caroline, for the awesome moderating, and then Amma as well. Thank you for the beautiful closing remarks. And the most important audience in the room, yourselves. I am very grateful that you spend your afternoon, your morning, and your evening, because I saw folks from India, Professor Radhika, all the way in Romania. Dr. Nina Mayov was here for a long time before she left. So it's a good thing to have all these stakeholders come together from around the world. I will ask that when you get the opportunity, Just check our website, www.jaglobalinstitute.org. Share some ideas with us, how we can be better. And more importantly, I want to thank all the Jagils delegations who are here in the United Nations attending the in-person meetings. Shout out to all of you. And we will meet at the lobby if you are around the building very soon. God bless all of you. Have a blessed evening. And thank you so much, everyone, for adding value to this. We will get the audio and the video edited and will be circulated around your network so you can share with your friends and families. God bless you all. Have a blessed evening and thank you for coming. Bye-bye for now.